Welcome! This video is all about identifying the point of view in a narrative text. By the end of this video, you will be able to define point of view, you'll be able to identify the point of view in a narrative text, and you'll be able to analyze the significance of the point of view in a narrative text. So what is point of view? Basically, a story is told through the perspective of either a character or a narrator. That perspective is called the point of view. Point of view is important because when an author writes a text, they make deliberate choices in the point of view to use in their writing. So the point of view influences the plot of the story, and it affects how much information and what kind of information is revealed to the audience or reader. A good example of this is, let's say that you and a friend of yours get into a fight in school. You'd both have to explain your side of the story to the principal. You might choose to reveal information that makes you look innocent and your friend look guilty. Likewise, your friend would probably reveal information that makes you look guilty and them look innocent. This is called point of view. Both you and your friend in this scenario are telling the same story, but you're telling it from different points of view or different perspectives. That's a good example of why point of view is so important. Each character, each narrator is going to choose to reveal the information that they think is important or the information that's going to make them look good. So there are three basic points of view that are used in stories or narratives. There's first person, third person limited, and third person omniscient. Now, there are other points of view, but these are the three main ones that you'll have to deal with in most narrative stories. So here are some of the characteristics of first-person point of view. When you're reading a story from first-person point of view, the narrator is going to be a character in the story. So they're going to use pronouns like I, we, me, my, and our. They're going to be telling a story about something that happened to them. So we're going to learn that character's thoughts, feelings, actions, and words. The problem here is that character might provide inaccurate, unreliable, or biased information, in which case we don't know whether we can trust that narrator or not. For example, in that scenario where you got into a fight with your friend, you're going to provide information that makes you look good, your friend's going to provide information that they look good. The principal may not even know who to trust because the story, chances are, is somewhere in between the two. So here's an example of a paragraph written in first-person point of view. The truth was, I was sorry not to have started school the year before. In my innocence, I had imagined going to school meant certain privileges worthy of all my brothers and sisters' complaints. The fact that my lung infection in my 5th and 6th year, mistakenly diagnosed as TB, earned me some reprieve, only made me long for school the more. We immediately know that this is first-person point of view because the author uses those first-person pronouns. We see I, my, and me. That lets us know immediately that we're dealing with a first-person narrator. The importance of this first-person narrator in this paragraph is that they're revealing the thoughts and feelings of this one character who's very central to the story. This character had a lung infection that was mistakenly diagnosed as TB. This character wanted to go to school. So it's important that we know the thoughts and feelings of this character. That's a little bit different from third-person limited point of view. In third-person limited, the narrator is not going to be a character in the story. So instead of those first-person pronouns, the narrator is going to use third-person pronouns like he, her, she, him, they, and them. The narrator, however, is going to tell the story from one character's perspective. We're not going to get the thoughts and the feelings of all the characters, but only one. But the narrator is not a character in the story. It's not actually happening to them. So here's an example of third-person limited point of view. This can be the most difficult point of view to identify sometimes, I think. Hecuba had dreamed that the tiny Paris, who lay so quietly in her arms at this moment, had turned into a burning torch that set all of Troy aflame. The old woman, a dream prophet, had then said that a terrible end would come to Troy if the baby were allowed to live. Now we know that this is third-person limited point of view because the author is using those third-person pronouns, like her and Hecuba. It's limited to the character of Hecuba, and we know that because that is the only character whose thoughts and feelings and emotions we are reading about here. We have no idea how the baby Paris feels. We don't know how the old woman, the dream prophet, feels. The only character who we get an understanding of is Hecuba. So it's third person limited to Hecuba. This is very different from third person omniscient point of view. In an omniscient narrator, the narrator knows every character's thoughts and feelings, etc. It goes inside the head of every single character in the story. So the narrator knows how every character is thinking and feeling. It's still going to use those third person pronouns like he, her, she, him, they, and them, but we are going to get the thoughts and feelings of every character. The audience is provided with complete, unbiased information, almost as if like a god were telling the story. In fact, the word omniscient means all-knowing. So the narrator knows everything. The narrator is omniscient, all-knowing. And so we, as the reader, also become omniscient as we read the text, if it's third-person omniscient narrator. Here's an example of third-person omniscient. The cardinal tipped his head back and drew breath to sing, but just as the first note passed his beak, he heard the crack of a dead branch far below his perch, high in the maple tree. Startled, he looked down, cocking his head to one side and watching with great interest while the man rattled the blades of grass as he tried to hide himself behind the tree. We can immediately identify this paragraph as third-person narrator because the author's using those third-person pronouns, like his and he. But because we get the thoughts and feelings of both the cardinal and the man, it's third-person omniscient, not limited. If we only got the feelings of the man or we only got the feelings of the cardinal, it would be different. But because we get both, we know that it's third-person omniscient. This narrator knows everything and is sharing everything that they know with the audience or the reader. All right, so your assignment, what I want you to do is to identify the point of view in the opening of your assigned novel, which you read in class on either Thursday if you're in an A class or Friday if you're in a B class. I want you to provide evidence of the point of view from the text and explain how you identified the point of view. And finally, I want you to explain the importance of the point of view in the passage, providing specific evidence from the text in your response. This should all be done in one paragraph. I think that in order to do this, you'll probably need at least 5 sentences, one paragraph, and you'll need a topic sentence to start off the paragraph, and then several sentences to explain and provide evidence from the text. I do look forward to reading your responses. If you need any more information, always feel free to email me to ask me questions. You can also rewind this video, rewatch the parts of it that you need to watch so that you are able to understand point of view and do your best on this assignment. I look forward to reading your responses and have a great evening.